Entertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music business talk. And I am Scott, your host, and a man who is celebrating Woodstock's 50th anniversary this weekend by listening to some Hendrix, some Janis Joplin, and eating a whole big bag of brown M&Ms. Although I hear there may be a problem with the brown ones. I've heard that. And with me is Paul. He only eats the brown M&Ms.
I don't eat the brown ones.
Despite any warnings that anybody's going to come on the mic and talk about, he's only eating the brown ones.
Well,
right?
those are the most fun. They'll put some hair on your chest.
That's right. He's like, forget those other colors, man. We're going with the brown only.
You haven't heard Santana at Woodstock until you heard Santana at Woodstock on brown M&Ms.
Brown M&Ms.
Make you see the
no
devil.
Doubt. Can you believe that it's a 50th anniversary of Woodstock already?
Wow.
I mean,
no.
Wow. Right? I mean, just you gotta think about that for a second. I mean, that's a long time. There's no way you can think about that and not think to yourself, "Man, I'm getting old." What the hell?
Yeah.
That's what everybody was just thinking.
Were you one of those babies being tossed around in the mud, dancing to Hendrix? Were you your parents
Dude,
take
I
you?
am not that old. So I am 49 years old. So yeah, not quite. Yeah, no.
Almost, just missed it.
Almost. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Depending. Who knows what your parents were up to?
Maybe
and
your parents didn't tell you your right age. Maybe you're a little bit older and they just forgot.
That could be
because of the brown M&Ms.
Yeah, exactly. And you never know like what song you were conceived to. Yeah, I mean, every once in a while you have like that creepy thought, and you're like, I don't really want.
My theory is whatever song you were conceived to go something like do 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 do. What is that? Crosby, Stills, and Nash, maybe.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wooden ships.
I can see it. I can see what you're saying. All right. Enough of the frivolity here on this lovely Friday afternoon. So who am I? What do I do? Why should you care? And how should you reach me? So I am Scott. I am the guy that runs Robertson Communications. I do public relations and marketing for a living, have for a long time, almost 50 years. No, I'm just kidding. Not quite as long as Woodstock, I'm afraid. The way to reach me is to send me an email, scott@robertsoncom, 2M's like communication.com. Find me on Twitter @robertsoncom, as some people do. And find me on Facebook, www.facebook.com /robertsoncom, 2M's like communication. Also, the website, as will come as no surprise to anyone, is robertsoncom, 2M's like communication.com. That's how you find me. Please do. I got a couple of emails this week, folks, and some very interesting conversation from those emails. Some folks I didn't know, and they just sort of blind emailed me and said, "Hey, I wanted to talk to you about what you were talking about last week, and I have this situation," and that kind of thing. Now don't email me and like try to get me to consult with you for free, because I do this for a living, right? I mean, but like if you're another marketing person and you want to commiserate in how your boss doesn't understand marketing, that's right. He doesn't. He's an idiot. I mean, sorry, but that's I'm probably right. Just so you know, just statistically speaking. A lot of that comes, by the way, just while we're on that subject for a second, is like if you want to ask the question to me, like, why is the CEO of this company such an idiot when it comes to marketing? One of the reasons for that is the fact that CEOs come up, that they have a different skill set, right? A lot of them come up in the financial side. They're trying to raise money. They're doing other things. And the financial side just isn't taught the importance of what we do for a living. You can't learn everything, right? And they focus on, more of a different skill set. So idiot's kind of the wrong word, but kind of a marketing idiot is definitely is probably right on the money. So anyway, you guys are super smart. as always, because you're tuned into this show. And this is episode 132 of the show. And we're going to talk about what winning brands do. There are thousands of brands out there, and they're all kind of vying to be top in their categories. My company's tagline and the name of this show is "May the Best Brand Win." So sometimes I get asked by people, well, how do we win? What is that winning formula? In your opinion, Scott. And so I say, well, let's talk about it. So we're going to do a show all about that, and I'm going to leave you with some of my best tips for building a trusted and beloved and, winning brand also. We're also going to dig into who's winning and losing. And this is going to be another fantabulous, probably award-winning episode of May the Best Brand Win right here on Entertalk. You guys tuned into a really good one. So without further ado, let's talk about what winning brands do. I believe it was the wise man Ricky Bobby, who played by Will Ferrell so brilliantly, who once said, "If you ain't first, you're last." And that's not technically accurate, but the guy's got a point. Especially in branding and marketing, where your customers really have to make a choice that they may be aware of, they may not be aware of, about which stuff to buy and which stuff gets left on the shelf, right? I mean, one brand gets picked in the end, and the rest kind of get politely thanked for their time. So, branding is all about emotions, right? But this is really, really important. It has nothing to do with your emotions. It has to do with their emotions, your audience. It has nothing to do with your story. It has to do with theirs. One of the biggest mistakes that I see all the time is that people spend a lot of time doing what I call navel gazing, which is where they kind of look down at their own navel and they're like, let's do a workshop where we discover our why. Why are we in business? How do we start this? What are we trying to do? No one gives a crap about you and your company unless it involves them. Human beings are what, class? Self-centered, selfish. We are about ourselves first, right? And I see this mistake made all the time. I go to your website. The first thing you say is, "We do this. We have this." All the personal pronouns are pointing back at you, but the people that you're trying to get to read it don't care about you. Not even a little bit. If I could chart it on a little diagram, it's like they care like the entire pie chart about themselves and this tiny little sliver about you. But now if you change the equation and say, now if your product, service, organization, whatever becomes a path to them getting what they want, now they care about you. Now they care about you because what do they really care about? Themselves, right? To me, that's pretty obvious. And yet, man, it's everywhere. It is it's a disease in marketing. So the stuff we're talking about, it involves you and your company, but it's not really about you at all, which is sort of freeing, to be honest, because you're like, look, this journey takes place in their heads. And they're not ever going to tell you the truth. They're not ever going to, marketing researchers make me laugh out loud when they say, "Oh yeah, well this many of the people we surveyed said this." Of course they did. They were being surveyed. You know what people, you know what definition of a liar is? Somebody taking a survey. Okay. We don't ever tell the truth on surveys, with two exceptions. If we're really pissed off, we're gonna lay in a super negative version of the truth that because we're really angry at that time. Or sometimes if you're super happy, maybe you'll cloud at that, or you'll kind of go that way. But you got to watch that stuff. You got to watch that stuff and basing your entire program on what people say they think and what they say they're going to do. It's like in my career, none of that's been true. Just so you know, people always behave from a different place. So it's a tough thing for people to understand. And I think that's why most brands are pretty darn terrible, right? So with all that said, let's dig into kind of what the winners do. Number one, winners have great messaging that's all about their audience, their journey, their story, what the audience wants, that kind of stuff. Let's take a few examples that we use a lot on this show. When you're talking about branding, you just can't do it any better than Apple. You just can't. I mean, they are so exceptionally good at getting themselves out of the way and making it about you and your own personal journey that it's it's just brilliant. I mean, their stuff is just absolutely brilliant in the way that they're able to do that. And you know that there's idiots inside of Apple somewhere that are saying, well, maybe we should talk about these features. Maybe we should get in here and we should talk about how much our new iPhone will be able to, we should talk about the bandwidth and the 1.621 gigahertz that we're going to be able to do this. And somebody pulls out the brand style guidelines from Steve Jobs and says, ain't nobody cares about that, right? What they care about is, how is this going to make them a little bit more of an awesome badass, that kind of thing. And Apple is exceptionally, they're so great at it. I mean, we could just do example of example and continue to show that. So Disney, really good at getting themselves out of the way too. Disney could show a lot of things with their things, but what do they show? Especially, most of the time when you see the Disney brand kind of naked and not like coming out through Marvel and coming out through other things, when you see the Disney brand out there, it's going to be the theme parks, right? Because Disney corporate doesn't like, hey, we're Disney and you should love us. No, they don't care about that. They want to get you to the theme parks. The theme park, like let's take their advertising, for example. What does it show? It shows families having a great time, all kinds of families smiling, laughing, whatever. Then you look around your dinner table, your family's not smiling, laughing, or anything, and you're like, wait, maybe the problem's me. And Disney's like, yes, the problem is you. Bring your family here, and we will heal your family. We will heal the world, and all you have to pay us is every last cent that you have made this year and for future subsequent years. They're brilliant at it. They're brilliant at it. They don't talk about themselves ever at all. They barely show themselves. They show you, and they show you having the experience that you want to have because this is your little movie in your little head in your little world that you created, okay? And that's the essence of branding. And there's so many people that don't understand that. It is infuriating. It's crazy. Also, some car brands are very good at that. Number two, those great brands, they have great content. They continue to tell their story, and they keep you on their ride with them just a little bit longer. You have to have great content. If you're a B2B service firm, you have to show your expertise through your content. If you're a consumer firm, you have to engage people and entertain people, with your content and show them. And again, make it about them, their journey, those messages. That's why the messaging piece is so, so important because you can't do step two. You can't do number two here if you don't have a great number one, Number three, they have third parties backing them up all the time. This is what I do for a living quite a bit. Public relations, earned media. It is an absolute must. It is extraordinarily important to have other people besides you saying that you're awesome and have other people besides you saying that you're the solution for what ails the customer in that kind of case. So that's why we do the third party thing is just really, really, really important. And, I've done particular episodes just on PR, just on press releases, just on kind of other things. I urge you to check any of that kind of stuff out to dig into those areas a little bit more. But I'm a huge fan of earned media here in 2019. The trust wheel has turned very much, people just don't trust advertising. Advertising, does it work? Not really. Not always, but they do trust what experts say. They do trust what the media says and those kind of things. And then if you couple that with some powerful, advertising as well, then you can probably get them. And again, that stuff's just so important. Number four, the fourth thing that winning brands do is they really avoid doing stupid things. And when they do something stupid that catches the public's eye in kind of a stupid way, they apologize very well and they get out of it very well, right? You don't see brands like I'm talking about like this having a lot of big problems. They know how to apologize, they know how to get out of it, and they know how to avoid it, And man, as we're going to deal with here in the upcoming segment 2, there's a lot of companies that need to shoot stuff down a little earlier, to be quite honest. Jeez. Because there's some stuff that gets to market where you're just shaking your head going, I don't know who approved this. I don't know who, I don't know what group of people could possibly approve this and not think this is going to be a complete train wreck for the brand. And the fifth thing that winning brands do, they respect the consumer's right to be left alone. They have confidence that you're going to buy when you're good and ready. And they have confidence in themselves that say, hey, we're the best thing going. We're going to be great for you when you decide you're ready. But if you're not ready right now, that's fine, because other people are. You know, they have that brand confidence, right? And you see that from brands like for example, I mean, let's just go back to Apple. When's the last time you got an email from Apple saying anything that was sort of sales related? Very, very rare, right? Their carriers kind of push stuff out for Apple products with sales related, but Apple basically says, hey, we got a new product out and we think it's pretty cool, and you guys are going to have to let us know, you know, if you think you're cool enough to get it, then you know, here's where you get it, and here's when you do your pre-orders and that kind of thing. And then they just sort of leave that alone, right? They don't send you, they don't send you 5 emails a week and say, buy Apple, buy Apple, buy Apple. And there's a lot of kind of dignity in that and respect for the customer in that. And there's a lot of just confidence. I think there are so many brands that just lack confidence. They're just, in the end, they're just, you know, kind of desperate, kind of needy, and they kind of just want to, and they're just like, well, you know, more communication equals better communication. And as we've studied much on this show over the years, we know that more communication is actually damaging to the brand than less. If you have a choice whether to go out and say something and to be quiet, oftentimes the best response is to be quiet. Look at McDonald's. You know, McDonald's, people try to pull McDonald's into stuff all the time. McDonald's is very quiet, right? They will, and they're very, they don't go out and speak unless they have a business reason for being out there speaking, right? On any kind of issues and any kind of thing, any things that their competitors try to pull them into as well. But you got to respect that consumer's right to be left alone. It's really, really important. It separates the great brands from the other brands. And I understand that there's, you know, salespeople and they've got quotas and they've got all these kind of things. But everybody needs to get in a circle and go, look, you know, we know these people are going to buy from us because we're awesome. And we make them more awesome, and that's what's going to get them to buy. Hitting them with 10 emails a week is not going to do it. It's probably going to piss them off. And when the California Data Privacy Initiative kicks in full string in January, we're going to get fined back to the frickin' Stone Age. Okay? And they're winding up, folks. The government's coming for all the over-communicators in the world. But you're listening to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing this week.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EnterTalkRadio.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody, it's Friday. You are super smart. You are tuned in to May the Best Brand Win on Entertalk Media, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host. We've been talking about what winning brands do this whole show so far. We got Paul B with us. Paul,
hey.
How's it going in the booth today? How
Pretty
are
good.
things?
Pretty good. That was your conception song right there.
Right there. There you go. That could be the song I was conceived. No, wait, that could be it. That's kind of an odd conversation, right? That's a conversation you'd never want to have with your parents. Is like, what song were you conceived to?
What were you guys listening to?
Yeah. Oh, no. I'd rather not.
The Monkees, really? The Monkees, not Hendrix.
That's a hard topic for people to tackle and be able to come out. It's just hard for us to discuss that. Oh man, pretty funny. But like you said, like as you put together mathematically there, Paul, the fact that I'm 49 years old and this is the 50th anniversary of Woodstock puts it very likely that Woodstock was involved in my conception.
One way or the other.
One way or the other. Some of that music, maybe some of those brown M&Ms that we talked about, maybe some of the brown ones. All right, let's talk about who's winning and losing, shall we? Let's see. So, U.S. retail sales were solidly up in July, which is a big sign of consumer optimism. Americans spent more at retail stores and restaurants in July. Yet, have you seen all the media reports that talk about like a global recession United States recession is coming, and analysts are worried because of the bond market has dropped and all this kind of thing or whatever. And then journalists, they write some of the most clickbaity, terrible headlines I've ever seen in my life. I mean, when I was in journalism school, I was taught that the headline needs to be supported by the actual story, right? You can't just go off and just have a wild hair and create some kind of crazy sensationalistic headline that somebody is going to click on, and then they get to the story and go, well, that's not what it said. That's not what it said at all. I was always taught that was sort of a bad thing, and you were not supposed to do that with your headlines, right? However, the news media today, part out of desperation to get you to click on anything and not watch puppy videos or something on YouTube, they play a little fast and loose with the headlines, and depending on what story. So this is a story that came out from the Commerce Department about and these are pretty solid facts, right? Retail sales rose 0.7%, and after another 3.3% gain in June. Online retailers, grocery stores, clothing retailers, electronics, and appliance stores all reported solid gains, right? Consumer spending is very, very healthy right now. However, the more the media talks about a recession, it is very likely that people are going to hold on to that money. And what happens when people save money in a spending economy like the United States of America? That's right. They cause a recession. They've done it. Media have done it before, and I'm not completely convinced that the folks with the upcoming election wouldn't like to see this economy stumble a bit or completely collapse, because they think it would be easier to unseat President Trump with that. Unemployment is at a 50-year low, right? Wages have risen modestly. Americans have greater spending power, yada, yada, yada. Economy's good. Here's my message to everybody that's listening. Go out and buy that new car. Go out and buy. Go out and do what we do as consumers to fuel the economy, which is to spend money. If you have your eye on a new bass amp and a new bass amp and a bass guitar, I give you permission right now, in the name of your patriotism for this country, to go ahead and go pick that up. Go ahead. It's okay. Tell your wife that Scott said it was cool, and you just go ahead and make that happen. Buy things, folks. That's and we're all winning when that's happening. You know, somebody that's losing. There's a gun store in Katy, Texas. They're facing quite a bit of backlash after what they posted on their marquee sign. Now, retailers sometimes don't know what to put on their signs, so they kind of follow a calendar of like holidays. You know, it's President's Day, it's it's Labor Day, it's those kind of things. And unfortunately, this gun store posted back to school sale August 13th through 18th with up to 50% off firearms. Back to school sale, firearms. Yes. That and that reaction that you're having right there, that's the reaction that everybody had. And it's just, when you're running a business, right? You gotta read stuff. You gotta pay attention. You gotta think about stuff. You gotta make sure you're interpreting the messages that you're putting out into the community, sort of through the context and the lens of what's going on in society. That's a real important thing here. You have anybody see what the reason that this happened is they assigned this task to probably put up the letters on the board to a junior employee, to a high school student or something who isn't thinking, right? They're just doing. They're just no thinking, just doing, and they're just putting stuff up there, right? And nobody down the chain is thinking about the message, right? So that's how you get something like this that's sort of tone deaf and sort of wrong. A lot of backlash coming at them, and just a good example for all those retailers out there. Everything counts when it comes to branding, right? You can have you could donate to the Boys and Girls Club, all you want. You can be, a stand-up pillar of the community, all these kind of things. You have one bad message on your, on your marquee sign, and you're in it, and you're having a lot of problems all of a sudden. So, be careful out there, be careful out there. Marketing is, it's not something to be done without thinking hard about it, which is a little bit of my problem. I was having a conversation with somebody about marketing automation. One of my biggest problems with marketing automation is it makes it very easy for lazy marketers to be even lazier and to send out more stuff. And then to sort of go, well, yeah, we're sending out, 3 or 4 emails a day. And depending on how they behave on our website, we're sending out more stuff. Here's my take on marketing automation. I've said this before, but I want to make sure you understand it. Nobody is waking up in the morning going, oh, boy, I hope I get more email from this company. I hope I get more sales-related emails. Nobody wants more. Nobody wants more. And nobody wants another thing marketers don't understand is they say, oh, we can create with using their data, we can create very targeted things about exactly what they like or exactly where they are. That is creepy. That is creepy. The human reaction to that is back the hell off. I don't want you to know that. I don't care if you do give me a 10% coupon on it. It's creepy, and it's none of your damn business. So you got to be careful, and you got to make sure that you're always weighing your messaging with like how humans will react to it. Really, really important stuff. Who's winning this week? There was a survey that went out, or Crestline Research did a 1,600 person respondent survey about who has the best mascot these days. And the best mascot right now is Starbucks Mermaid, the most memorable. Let me say this right there. It's Mascot Recognition Challenge, right? They showed 1,600 people pictures of mascots and said, can you name the brand? So they 95.6% of people could name the Starbucks Mermaid. And I think that, it's green and it's the Starbucks sign. So there you go. 95.1% could name that Colonel Sanders logo was KFC. 93% said Geico. They showed the Geico Gecko, and it's Geico. 92.7% showed the M&M Spokes candies. So that they showed the green one, not the brown acid one from Woodstock. And then 91.6% could recognize Ronald McDonald. I think that's fair. The least memorable. Are you ready for those least memorable? This is kind of fun. Mascots. Coco the monkey from Cocoa Pops. I'm not even sure what that is, but 5.9% can remember that one. The Duracell Bunny, 11% for the Duracell Bunny. Sugar Bear from Golden Crisp, 19.3%. Now, see, Sugar Bear, come on. There's Sugar Bear commercials all the time back in my youth. 21.4% could not recognize the Chicken of the Sea Mermaid. And then 22.5% couldn't recognize Aaron from Esurance. Yeah, and I get that because, don't really know that one that well. But hey, we got to say, so there's winners and there's losers in this whole thing, right? Starbucks obviously winning pretty strong with its mermaid. Not everybody knows it's a mermaid, by the way, but if you look really closely at the Starbucks logo, that's what it is. That is the plan there. So anyway, congratulations to all the memorable mascots, and the least memorable ones have something to work on. It's kind of interesting the Duracell Bunny was because they used to just advertise the hell out of the Duracell Bunny, but I think it also shows that people aren't watching TV as much anymore. Here's a scary one. So 53% of journalists surveyed were not sure that they could spot flawed research. This comes from the journalistresource.org, which is a great site, by the way. It has a lot of things for journalists. I spend a lot of time on there myself. Really interesting. So they did not believe that they could spot flawed research. This is really, really important for us as a society to understand, right? Because if they can't spot flawed research, then they're going to report the flawed research, and then we're going to believe, or, we have a chance at least of believing the flawed research, and then there's just a lot of falsehoods in everything that we're doing. I encourage you to check out the whole story. I don't have time to dig in there, but the journalists, when asked what their biggest barriers were to using academic research in their work, here's some of their responses. The academic papers were just too long, and it's difficult to digest them on deadline. Not enough communications from the public relations office, people familiar with the research to be helpful in clarifying, steering one to researchers and experts. The research in general is irrelevant. I don't know how that is a thing, by the way. I don't know how that's a reason why you can't spot flawed research. And then editor skepticism that research from 2015 or earlier is relevant to news coverage today. I don't understand all of those comments because I got to say that, here's what we know from dealing in public relations. Journalists are busy. Journalists don't have time to do an adequate job of researching everything. They rely on us, the public relations department. But if there are people pushing stuff that's flawed, what we as a society know is that we can't necessarily count on journalists to catch that because of where they are in their jobs right now and that sort of thing. It's important to know that, I would say. So I don't know. I think we're all losing, or at least very cautious about research coming out and realizing that it might not be, that flaws in it might not be caught. Who's kind of winning is the Primetime Emmys. They got a lot of press because they announced that they're going to go on without a host this year on Fox. So for the fourth time in its history, the Emmy Awards are going hostless, which has sort of been a bit of a trend in some of these award shows. They have other people, show up, and they just don't necessarily have a host. It also makes the show a little shorter, right? One of the, the ratings in these award shows are in the tank, right? Because it's like a 3-hour show, and who's got the time, right? Who's got the time to spend 3 hours watching celebrities just kind of stroke each other? I mean, I don't know. It's not that interesting anymore, I think, to people. We've seen it. And also, I think, it used to be that the only time you could really see celebrities was on these kind of shows. But in today's day and age, they've got their Instagram feed going 24/7. So we spend as much time as we really want to with any celebrity that we want to. We spend way more time than we probably want to with them. So I don't know. Maybe it's just not special anymore. But I think they're winning because they've gotten a lot of a good bump on it, and the Emmys are going to be they're going to be host-free, hostless coming up. And our last story of the day here, we're going to talk about the M-Dash. All right, so from the New York Times this week, there's a story about the M-Dash. If you're a writer, you know what the M-Dash and the N-Dash are, right? They're the the longer dash that you probably never use, and the shorter version of that dash that's right by the zero key, right? That. So after the Oxford comma debate and the death knell of the period, the latest mark to divide us, according to the New York Times, is the M-Dash. The M-Dash is a vice that editors forgive but more often forbid. It has been duly cast as an alluring alternative to the comma, colon, semicolon, and full stop in the distracted boyfriend meme. I'm not even sure what that is, I got to say. But the longest of the dashes, roughly the length of the letter M, is empathetic, agile, and still largely undefined, according to the New York Times. So, let's see, what was I going to say? Martha Nell Smith, a professor of English at the University of Maryland, and she authored 5 books on the poet Emily Dickinson, who really liked the M dash apparently, said that Dickinson used the dash to highlight the ambiguity of the written word. The dash is an invitation to the reader to make meaning, to create meaning, said Dr. Smith. It can also be a leap of faith. I think, writers like to talk about punctuation, and they like to talk about the M dash. I use the M dash. Yeah. I use it when, when there's a different thought and you sort of want to, you want to connect, you want to connect that thought, and you don't necessarily want to start another sentence, right? You can say, yes, I will definitely use the M dash. But grammarians don't like the M dash. They think that the M dash can be substituted for almost any other mark of punctuation, which I didn't know. People use it for commas. I don't do that. The semicolon, okay. A pair of parentheses, a quotation mark. No, I don't see that. Or even a bullet point in the making of a list. I think that's true, but we're not using it as a true M dash at that point. You're using it as a mark that looks like a bullet that you can you can use, right? I mean, I don't think anybody's doing that as an M dash. It's a long dash that you can use as a bullet. It's kind of interesting though. The whole story, by the way, in the New York Times is really fascinating. It's really, really long. So that's what I'm saying. Apparently Twitter there's people that are upset about people using the M dash too much in Twitter. But I say if you use the M dash and you know how to use it, you know how to use it the right way. I can't imagine using it as a different, like a quotation mark. I don't get that. But anyway, if you're using it the right way, the M dash can be your friend for years and years and years to come. And that's who's winning and losing this week, folks. Come on back, and I'm going to tell you how to build your very own winning brand. Come on back.
I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Entertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on EntertalkRadio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. It is Friday, and you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Entertalk Media. You are so smart. Have I told you that recently? You know you are. You're tuned into this. You're learning the truth about marketing and communications from me, Scott, your host. We just talked about who's winning and losing. I was just telling Paul about the M dash and how wonderful it is and how he needs to start using it for in place of many other punctuation marks. So Paul, M dash, man.
Sure. I'm on board with the M dash. I'm hip.
He's hip to the M dash. It's gonna show up more. It'll be like Entertalk Media M dash, the undisputed leader in music biz talk.
Yeah, I like it.
That's right. The Entertalk Media has never been afraid to use the M dash in all kinds of crazy ways. Crazy.
Sure. Hyphenating names. It's good for everything.
We need to have a festival called M Fest. And then the N Dash could have its own festival called N Fest. But the M Fest, it's all about the M Dash. People dress up in costumes like the M Dash. They talk about how they use the M Dash in their various communications. And then at the N Dash, conference, they talk about how all the problems there are with the M Dash and why you should really use the N Dash instead.
We were also talking about you were coming up in journalism school, doing the typesetting with blocks and little lead things, and it was just this whole big thing. And my thought was, if that was still the way things were done, there would be a lot less spam email in the world.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's a great point. When people talk about marketing automation, I'm like, this is a great example of how technology is going to set us back. Because, it started with desktop publishing, and then it went into email and everything else. And then it became very easy, and sort of the idea was it was free to do marketing. And then people stopped respecting it. They just said, well, we can do all this stuff for free and as much as we want, so who cares? Let's go.
Think about this. This is going to keep you up at night, Scott. Think about like in the next 5 or 10 years or something when the Elon Musk Neuralink thing is up. Some idiot can just have a stupid thought in his brain, and it'll automatically go out to his mailing list without any filters whatsoever.
Oh,
think about that. Think about that.
That's going to be terrible. I'll be retired by then, I hope. I'll be retired, and old folks home going, in my day, we did it with lead blocks, and I love the M dash.
Now get off my porch.
Now get off my porch, you little bastard. We typeset things with lead blocks in my day. That's how we did it. We liked it. I'm going to be the worst old person ever.
You're so cranky already. It's not going to get any better from here.
Oh my God! It's going to be a slow decline into senility with it's just going to be it'd be like crazy movie quotes from the 80s just popping out with nothing just all kinds of, because my mind is like littered with quotes from movies from the 80s and marketing things and everything else, and it's all just kind of jumbled together. So when I lose control over it and everything, and I drop into senility, it's just going to be it's going to be a who's who of what's coming out. Different celebrity voices coming out of it. It's going to be nuts. I'm excited about it, to be honest. It's going to be great. Well, there you go. So we're here in segment 3 of the big show, and now I wanted to leave you with some good tips on how to build your very own winning brand. For long-time listeners of the show, none of this is going to become as too big a surprise, but considering I see violations of this stuff on a weekly basis, I always feel like it's a good idea to just keep on hammering, keep on chipping at the mountain. You know what I'm saying? So here's how I would advise you to build your own winning brand. Always start with the message, okay? I see people all the time that come to me and say, what do you think of this logo? And what's my response to that? I say, it's great. What's it mean? What's the message? What you would do? Oh, well, we haven't really done the message yet. We just thought we would do a logo first. Wrong answer. What comes before pictures? Words and the M dash. Words come before pictures. Okay. And graphic designers will kind of fight me on this, but I'm right. And I can prove it, by the way, because the human mind translates visual thoughts into words. We can't communicate with another human being how we're experiencing a visual without using words, which means that words trump, are better than, pictures first, when you're trying to articulate something. So that's why we start with words, right? Because we can articulate it, we can construct it, we can have a shared understanding about it, and then we can inform a graphic designer that this is what we want to try to communicate. And it makes the design work. I work with so many designers, and they say, man, I love working with you because I don't have to, I'm not on a limb there trying to figure this stuff out for myself. You hand me the blueprint of what the message is, and then it makes it so easy to create a powerful design based on that. I know, right? That's how you do it. That's how it's supposed to be done. However, in so many different organizations, they jump to graphics first. They're already out making Facebook ads. And then I say, what emotion is your brand anchored in? And then I get this long silence where they're like, we really don't know. And I'm like, then you shouldn't be communicating. If you don't know what emotion that you're shooting for, you don't have a brand. We've discussed all this, right? I mean, so you start with the message. And it has to be great, and it has to be great and all about them. I spend between 15 and 20 hours with a new client working on the message. Always. We sit in a room. We're sitting with a new client. I'm sitting with a new client next week, and we're going to dig into all messaging, and we're going to talk about the psychology behind it. Who are these customers? What are they feeling? What do they need? What do they really need beyond what they tell you they need? Because they're lying. What do they actually need? Right? And yeah, you got to be a little bit of a detective, and yeah, it's got to be a little bit of guesswork because, like I said, if you create a marketing survey and say, I want you to be honest with me and tell me, what it is that you really need, even though we have no relationship and this is a marketing survey, nobody's going to tell you the truth. Human beings only tell the truth when they're really, really drunk, right? I mean, I play in a cover band. Believe me, the truth comes out of people when they are really, really drunk. Get your popcorn ready; it's coming, man. And the truth comes out. We've seen it lots of times, right? And another time is, if you're having kind of a shared moment with somebody that is a close relationship to you, a wife, husband, that kind of thing. Those conversations, sometimes we tell the truth during those conversations. Sometimes, right? Really important. And don't forget that people aren't always in contact and connected with the actual truth of why they're doing something. A lot of branding stuff is unconscious. Unless you train your brain to really come out of it or whatever, you won't actually know that it's working on you and that kind of thing. We've talked about subconscious stuff before, but a lot of branding stuff is designed to work that way. So start with the message. Number 2, don't sell. Instead, tell stories and make those stories helpful, useful. Make it about the customer and their journey, not yours. Take your mission statement, your vision statement, your why statement, your internal, what the employees think of a statement. Take all of that, put it in a trash can, and light that on fire, okay? None of that crap is useful in marketing. None of that crap is useful in marketing. Don't ever use it for marketing. No one cares about you. No one cares about your vision. No one cares about your background. No one cares about your employees. No one cares about your team. No one cares about your vision. No one cares. No one cares. They only care about themselves. Okay? Learn it. Understand it. I am right. Okay? Understand it. And lean into it. This isn't designed to be a critique of the human race. I'm saying as a marketer, you need to lean into this and you need to know, what is our customer trying to get and how can we be that for them? And every organization, and like I said, yeah, and you make some guesses about it and those kind of things, but you can be right on those guesses, and you can also test stuff and you can change it. It's not necessarily written in stone. If you get it wrong, it's not working, you can change it up until you get it right. Maybe you're close, maybe you're not quite there. I mean, it took me 6 years to work on the brand for NAM, by the way. 6 years, folks. I mean, we did a lot of things on the pathway to getting to the brand messaging that we liked. We did a lot of stuff on the way there that we didn't like, or that was fine as a placeholder, but we knew we weren't right yet. We knew we weren't right yet. So don't be frustrated by that, and make sure that you're telling good stories. Really, really important. Number 3, you got to get some third parties on the job. This involves getting a PR firm or doing PR yourself well. The problem with doing your PR yourself well is that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of dedicated time. Sometimes it takes a lot of dedicated relationships. Sometimes those relationships can really help. Call a PR firm. A lot of companies use me because I have dedicated time that's focused on PR. They don't have time to do it. They know it's important. Somebody's got to do it, and they hire my company to go out and make sure that we're getting it done. And it's really, really important, because if you're the only one out there saying we're great, we win, we're amazing, we're a winning brand, we're incredible, with those kind of things. If you're the only one saying it, after a while, people start to go, I wonder why nobody else is saying that. I wonder why no third parties are on board with this, that kind of thing. We kind of expect that, right? I mean, you see that just about everywhere. Even on Amazon, you're buying a product, the manufacturer says, it does this, it does this, it does this. But what are you looking for? You're looking down at the reviews, right? You want to be like, okay, let me see what some third parties, let me see what people who bought this thing have to say, that kind of thing. And you have to be careful of those reviews too, by the way, because Amazon gets busted all the time for having false reviews. Not necessarily Amazon didn't get, but Amazon busts people, sellers on its platform for posting fake reviews, right? And so you got to grain of salt, obviously, on all those kind of things, and you got to trust the platform to make sure that everything's going to be clean, kind of going in there. But again, third party credibility is really, really important. I belong to a professional business organization called Provisors, and what Provisors does is they give each other testimonials. So you have a lawyer that stands up and says, well, I brought in Diane here, and she did a fantastic job on doing the estate law for this, managing the estate and handling the family law, processes, whatever we needed for this particular engagement. Or I hired this, intellectual property lawyer that came in and was able to do something, fantastic for me, or connect me with somebody and that kind of thing. And there's a lot of power in people standing up in a meeting and talking about you and saying how great you are. I am fortunate enough that I get a lot of people in that room that say, hey, Scott, it really knows his stuff. He's great. He's kind of a no BS marketer that is going to, that you don't feel like you're going to have to take a shower after you, feel like to wash your hands after you hang out with him. And I like that because, as you guys know from listening to the show, I have ethics. I have a moral compass. I'm the guy that stands up in companies and go, A, this is stupid. B, this is a bad idea. And B, and C, this is invasive to the consumer's privacy, and it's going to destroy the relationship long term. And what business are we in, class? We're in the long-term relationship business. That's right. Exactly right. So, third parties, so important. So important. Really, again, just that is a key piece that winning brands do very, very well. My fourth tip is don't do anything stupid. And I know that it's like, yeah, that's obvious. That it should be obvious. It should be obvious. But if you're in the marketing department, I want to speak to those people in the marketing department or other agency folks that listen to this show. It is your job to stop stupid things in the initial meetings before they get ahead of steam, right? And I know that it is hard to be popular by kind of pushing back on the stupid, right? Because you want to be popular. You want to be, you don't want to be the brand police. I've heard so many marketers say, I hate being the brand police. Nobody wants to hang out with me, and nobody wants to, everybody's always angry with me because of the job that I have to do. I have to kind of be the police department or whatever, and that kind of thing. And it's unfair. It is unfair. It is unfair. But your job, you knew the job was dangerous when you took it, and your job is to protect that brand from something stupid. So when somebody raises their hand in the meeting and they come out with something that is magically completely dumb, right, and is not going to work out, and your spider sense is just on 11, and you're like, my God, this is going to go bad. Raise your hand right there. Stop it. We know what's a great way to stop it? Call legal. Bring legal in. Legal stops things for a living, man. They love to stop things. They are the enemy of fun department. Absolutely. And sorry if you guys are, I have legal friends, but I mean, let's face it, that's what you do. You're dealing with risk management all the time. So anyway, you want to kill something and you don't want to do it yourself? Play out the scenario in your mind of what's going to happen. Write it out. Go see your in-house counsel. Or go see, who else, whatever your law department is in your company, and just drop them a hint that you think something is going to go down, that you think is going to go south for the company. They will stop it. They will shut everything down, right? Because they play in the risk game, right? And so just use that. And number 5, pay really close attention to privacy. Don't screw privacy up. Don't let sales screw it up. Don't let anybody screw it up. Pay attention. The new law that's coming, pay attention to the new law that's coming. The law that Congress is working on, pay attention to the new law that Congress is working on. Really, really important for you. Really important. You can't screw it up. You're in the relationship business. You mess up privacy, it's over, and you don't get a second chance. So make sure you get that right. So what have we learned today, folks? We've learned that anyone can create a brand, but creating a trusted, beloved, and winning brand requires a winning game plan. You do the things that I'm talking about here, these 5 things, you care about these things, and you will beat your competitors, like I said, like a knife to a gunfight, and you will rock your marketing to a completely new level. That's it for me for this week, folks. We'll see you next week with a brand new show. Rock and roll. Happy Woodstock celebration. Bye-bye now. You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Entertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al DiMeola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?